Aloha everyone and welcome to another Tinkers Academy video. I'm your host Kay Elmer and this video is another installment in the video series Welcome to LeelaQ, otherwise known as Leela Quantum Tech and Quantum Upgrade. This is a video FAQ answering a lot of the frequently asked questions that pop up in the Telegram support groups for both services. Now this particular video we're going to be talking about using photos in blocks. And what do I mean by that? Is essentially putting a photo in a block, one of those quantum blocks. There's several different versions. It is essentially the same thing as the quantum upgrade service. Utilizing the concept of quantum entanglement, you can take energy and frequency, and using a block, you can send it to the target object, person, place, or thing in the photo. Just like the quantum upgrade service will collect your information and send you frequencies and energy to the people, place, or whatever, right? And so that's the general idea. If you want to learn more about quantum entanglement, whole nother video series. But that's the idea, is you can use a photo and you can do your own little quantum upgrade service and you can send energy. Okay, that's the very first thing you could do, is you can send that positive energy to whomever and whatever is in the photo. Okay, that's the first thing you could do. The second thing you could do, like I said, is you can send frequency through the block to that person, place, or thing. And also you can manifest intention for that person, place, or thing by using photos. And that's really the idea here, is by the photo is essentially, from a consciousness standpoint, it establishes in the field where you want it to go. And so if you put a photo in there in that block, then that's where it's going to go. Energy, frequency, or intentions. Okay, you can manifest intentions for whatever's in that photograph. So that's what it can do. So you're basically running your own little quantum upgrade service using a block and photos. But I want to clarify something that's important, though. Is there's a couple of things you can't do. So unlike the quantum upgrade service, there's no way to boost the energy. Okay, so there's, you know, in the quantum upgrade service, you can actually amp up the energy. Like there's a baseline energy level that you've got running during the day and during the night, depending on your time settings. However, in the quantum upgrade service, you can literally up the dial and turn up the volume on the level of energy. That's called a boost, and you can boost energy. Well, there's no way to do that. The block is a set amount of energy, and that's going to be the set baseline, and you cannot increase the amount of energy. So that's where, you know, quantum upgrade has a little perk in terms of being able to boost energy. But the blocks, you can't boost energy. Now, when you're using a block with a photo, you cannot charge anything in the photo. Okay, so you can send energy to it, but, you know, if you wanted to charge, let's say, food, you need to put the food in the block. You can't take a picture of the food. And so for those of you who have been around for quite a while, there has been a little confusion on that. So in the idea of like, hey, I want to charge my car, how do I charge it? Well, the answer used to be, well, just put the photo of the car in there. But, you know, I clarified with Philip von Holzendorf, the owner-operator of Leela Quantum Tech, about that, and he was basically clarified it that no, you don't actually charge what's in the photo, you send energy to it, and when you take the photo out, the energy lingers for a little bit and then goes away. So the idea of sending energy and charging stuff are two separate things. So if you want to charge it, you literally have to physically put it between the plates. However, you can take a photo of, let's say, your car, put it in the block. Let's say you're going on a long trip and you're not taking your block with you. You could easily take the photo of the car, put it in the block, and then go on your trip, and the whole time your car will be receiving that quantum energy, all right, because of the photo. But it will not, you know, but you can't, it won't charge the car or charge the food or, you know, whatever you're charging, right? The other thing that you cannot do with photos is copy frequency. So I did clarify with Philip, because this question came up in one of my other groups about, you know, can I take a picture of, let's say, a supplement and copy that to a card, right, or jewelry, whatever, and take the frequency of an item from a picture of the item. And he clarified, and I clarified that with Philip, and the bottom line is check with Roman Hofner, who's the Wonder King on frequencies, and basically he said you can't do it. Don't do it because there's other stuff in the photo, and there's so much room for error that the chance that you'll actually get the actual molecular frequency of the substance is remote, and it just won't work. So you cannot put a photo of something and then expect to be able to take the frequency of that and then, and then copy that to something else, and then it goes the other way as around. You cannot take a frequency, put it in your block, and let's say I want to put the frequency of let's say vitamins, and I want to put that into a capsule. Well, I can't take the vitamins and then a picture of the capsule. I can't go backwards either. So I can't copy from a photo, and from a photo of something, and I can't copy to something in a photo. So there's no copying frequencies involved. There's no charging stuff involved, and there's no boost, right? So when you're using photos, you're primarily just sending energy, or sending frequency, and or manifesting intentions. Okay, so the other properties of a block do not apply with stuff in photos. All right. Now the idea here on the recommended guidelines on how to proceed doing this, I'm going to play you a clip from the part 2 of the block tutorials, where Philip and I kind of dialogue about what his recommended guidelines are. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you. So for those of you folks who have listened to it before, you can just skip right over it and then keep going on with the rest of the presentation, because I've got other information I'd like to share on top of that. That was recorded like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, right? But I'm going to go ahead and play you a clip where Philip and I are discussing the recommended guidelines for using the photos in blocks. Okay, and it highlighted is just one person at a time. It has to be recognizable, and Philip talks about what has to be in that picture. And also, what's really interesting is Philip talks in that tutorial. He talked about a case where putting a picture of a younger you in there, because one of the things about the quantum field that it operates independent of time. All right. So there was a case of multiple cases of people putting pictures of younger versions of them in there, and then being able to send through time, sending frequencies and energy. So, and it's interesting. So he talks about that. So let me go ahead and play that for you. And the one thing that we didn't talk about in the tutorial was the idea of permissions. So that's one thing I do want to kind of comment about. That is, when you are trying to help someone, the recommendation for, and you put a photo of them and you send them intention, you're trying to manifest an intention for someone, like get well, that sort of thing. Then the idea here is on the concept of permission, is that you want to obtain their permission. You want them to be part of that healing process. And the more that they're part of that, the more that they accept it, the better your results are really going to be. And also too, if they don't accept it, then it's not going to work at all, because their consciousness will override whatever you're trying to do. So it's always really important that you get a person's permission. Now, obviously you cannot get a permission from a dog or a cat or a horse, that sort of thing. So there's nothing wrong with trying when you can't get the permission of somebody, or they could, be in a coma or something. Or they can't speak, so there's nothing wrong with trying, but if you want the best results, get permission. So let me go ahead and play that clip from the tutorial, and then you'll get it straight from Philip in terms of what the recommended guidelines are. So here we go. So now the other question, though, is about more than one person in a photo. So could you talk about that? Like, is it something that people should avoid? And what's the worst that could happen? That sort of thing, like two people in the same block at the same time, or a person holding their pet. You know how it is, right? Or people standing in a crowd. I mean, how important is it to not have any other living beings in the photo when you're trying to use a photo to send quantum energy to that person?
It is important because you don't want to commingle these energies, and that is exactly what is happening if you put two people or an animal and a person in there at the same time. There are exceptions. So if, husband and wife, for example, if they both agree, they can absolutely go in together, because then even certain topics and stories in between the two, and maybe underlying issues, may be looked at and possibly even transformed, right? So those are certain things that can happen. They can have a positive effect, possibly, right? And then that's okay. Usually, with the family, even if you have two kids, husband, wife, and they're all pretty much in agreement, then that is also a possibility because they're already so close and they've all agreed. But other than that, we recommend to never do that.
Okay, good point. Um, okay, so
Unless you want to have like a, I don't know, if you have a dog and you want to have suddenly an even deeper connection with the dog in a way, you could try what you did accidentally at some point
yeah,
where you had your dog's hair in there with your photo, and
yeah,
hey, why not? But in general, we don't recommend do that.
yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense because when you live with someone, you're already connected to them because your biofield extends out about 6 feet. So you're already commingling energy, right? And your frequency and theirs, and you're always close to them. And
Yes, and
they
then
don't, yeah,
and
whether you believe
unfortunately,
it or not.
there are services out there
Yeah,
where energies are indeed commingled on a
yeah,
level that is unheard of, and it's almost ridiculous, frankly, because if you end up having 50, 60 different people, animals, objects all in at the same time, and you're literally putting them in one energetic soup and stirring them the whole time, it is it is crazy. It is on an energetic level. That is an absolute no-go. It is terrible. It is not helpful at all, and it's something that should never be done. We've actually worked since probably 4 months to figure out that problem, and we've solved it, frankly. So there's going to be more coming out in regards to that in the next couple of months. But yeah, so just be mindful of that. You
okay,
just want to have one living being in there that you know of, and if you want to be in there with your wife or spouse together, just ask her.
okay. So important. So best practices. A picture on a photo paper, one person at a time. Now, would it be now the picture that we got questions about? Okay, what kind of a picture? Does it need to be their full body, or could it be like their upper body and their face? It could
Yeah.
be a body part. Like let's say my sister hurt her knee, and she took a picture of her knee. Would I need a picture of her instead of her knee, or could I put that picture of her knee and use that?
Yep. So first of all, I think any paper is fine, by the way. So you need to just use regular printing paper. That's what I do.
Okay.
If you're more concerned about that, you can certainly take photo paper, but it's from my perspective not necessary.
Okay. Okay.
And if you want to, give yourself a nice charge or someone else, then try to have a full body picture, or where as much of the body is on the picture. That's what I would recommend. Now, the situation I had yesterday with this heavy migraine and neck pain, which I usually never have. It was very unusual. And because we've tested that before, it's this knee thing that you just recommended. And that's how I did it. Also, I just took a picture of that part and not my whole body. And so the energy focused on that. And the same with the knee. So if you hurt your knee and that's all you want to work on, then that's totally enough. You just
Okay.
need a picture of that knee if you can't do it, physically.
Okay, because that was the other question too. Was like somebody asked if they could put a picture of a person that was like from behind, and I wasn't sure. I'm like, how would how would the universe know that that's that person if you can't see their face? But you're saying that, that's fine. That is that person, so it doesn't need to be their face. A full body's better, but a part can be fine, which is either a picture of them walking away from you or a picture of a part of them. But the whole idea is that's fine, and of course putting in an intention to help them heal, and I think that's what drives the whole process anyway, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
However, like when I want to really charge my whole system, I would personally, that's what my intuitions say, take a picture from the front where the eyes are on as well.
Yeah.
Not sure why that is, but I do feel that if you,
Okay.
yeah, that may have a greater effect for the overall system.
Yeah.
If you
That's what I
just
was
want to
thinking.
charge your back, of course, just take a picture of your back. No need at all for
Okay.
the eyes or the face.
So optimal, get a picture of the person with it facing you. That's optimal. That's okay. And then lastly was the question about putting a picture. Does it have to be a recent picture? And I know that we have that really interesting testimonial from one of our members who worked to heal, I believe, their child through trauma. And they put their child, a picture of their child at different ages. You know, they were an adult at this point, but they put a picture of their child at a younger age, then when, you know, a little older, you know, that how that has, and that at each stage, right, they were helping send energy to that child of, you know, that person of them at that time, you know, kind of thing. And it seemed to have worked. You know, it seemed to have helped their adult child overcome childhood traumas. And so that kind of begs to the question of, is, you know, is it a picture of me now, or is it a picture of me 20 years ago? Does it matter, or how much do you know about that? I mean, is it all experimental at this
Yes.
point?
It's great questions, and we know quite a bit about it because we've heard multiple reports and then also did some testing on our own. So if you want to charge yourself or help someone today with something that's going on now, then always take a most recent picture. And, you know, this doesn't, you know, you don't have to like take a new picture every day, right? That's not what that means. You can still use a picture if it's 2-3 weeks old, but however, the more current, the better, for sure. And you know, if I heard myself today, let's say now, and in an hour I want to charge myself fully, and I want to have all this included in an optimal way, I would take a new picture. Frankly, that's what I
Oh,
would do.
okay.
But we have found out that indeed childhood traumata and, you know, other blockages and experiences can be eased, harmonized, and transformed even by putting in pictures of the child at the time. Let's say between the ages of 4 and 6, certain difficult things happened because maybe the parents died, something else happened, a kid got into an accident when I was 6, like all that in just 2 years. Then you would find pictures of the 4-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 6-year-old, and work your way through from the 4-year-old to the 6-year-old, put those pictures in, and then things that happen at the time we'll see. You know, I almost said healing. We don't want to say healing, right? But it's it would say it would see a transformation um, and a harmonization of what had happened, a release of the traumata. That's
Right.
what has been shown in multiple tests. So
That's amazing. You know, and that
yeah, so
really
and
begs.
I've done it with myself actually, also
Yeah.
to test it on myself, and it's interesting.
Wow.
It's a very interesting
Wow.
thing to do. I
Okay.
just found an old, my mother had made a book at some point with pictures throughout my life until a certain age, and I just took those pictures out, put them in, and it's very, very interesting because you're not really charged today. You still feel it, and it's almost as if, you know, if you envision a rainbow with so many different layers and
Yeah.
colors, it's as if one of those layers is being charged and you feel that is being charged. There's something going on, but it's not your whole self, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get it. If for anyone who understands German New Medicine or the concept of emotions getting trapped in your body, you know, bioelectrically, to release those emotions, you need to inject energy into your system because they're trapped in you. Emotions are energy, and they're trapped in you, obviously, and so you carry around all that baggage. So you're saying that quantum energy has the capability of reaching you know, those blockages where those emotions are trapped, and the link is a picture of you
Yes.
when that moment happened. It's not like time travel, but it's more like you are here now, but you're carrying all this stuff, and the key to that is to reach out to that moment that emotion got locked inside of you, and to get that to that key is a picture of you as a child, or a picture of you, let's say 20 years ago, horrible divorce, you know, and you want to get over it now. Get a picture of you back then. So for folks that are suffering PTSD, get a picture of the moment that, you know, that of that time frame that you were going through that event. Put that picture in the block. Put in intention, and seek healing. I think That is amazing. And we've had more than one person then, you're saying.
Yes, there are multiple people actually, and
Wow.
there are several people that are not even in the group that have reported that and have tested that, and it's uh, it's really quite interesting. I mean, the concept is really not difficult to understand if you understand how that works, and what you just explained is very, very helpful. The time and distance, first of all, doesn't really matter in that concentrated quantum field. And indeed, it's about something, you can solve stuff from the past in the now, right? Whether you do that with um, um, therapies, right? And you talk about stuff in the now, about stuff that happened 20 years ago, and then you're kind of like at some point getting over that, or you're doing a healing work with a shaman, or using this type of energy to help with that. Yeah, it's absolutely possible.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, great. So that was out of the tutorial. Now, I just want to add a couple of things that I just want to emphasize. Now, there's a LeelaQ FAQ that is, on the website, and I kind of just want to highlight a couple of things in terms of the answer to, how do I use a photo in a block? I just want to highlight a couple of things, and I just kind of reiterate it because it is really important. Is that the first thing to know is you need to follow your own intuition and your inner voice. Just gotta. That's how this works. Everyone is always asking, how long should I leave a photo in? And my answer is always follow your intuition, because there's no guideline for this, because it's quantum, and so the whole idea is quantum's just, driven by consciousness, and so really it's just when you want to send frequency to someone to help them, or you want to manifest energy, or intention, then just follow your intuition on what you feel would be the right amount of time to put that person in the block with, the photo of them, with whatever you're putting in there with them. So just follow that, and then just kind of see. However, there's one caveat though, is that if somebody, it does matter how healthy or how conscious someone is that you put in there. Talking about pictures. And so what that really stipulates is that if someone's really, really chronically ill and you're sending them all this quantum energy, you really want to keep track of what happens. Like if it does interrupt their sleep, it may, because all of this has been tested scientifically that this works. I mean, they've actually proven quantum entanglement works. The frequency, the energy actually does get delivered to the target item in the photo. So, that's what the studies are. If you go on Quantum Upgrade and you look at the science studies, it's real. It's really going to happen. So if the person's chronically ill, right, or in a weakened state, it might be a little bit too much for them. It might kick off like a detox reaction. So you want to be really careful about want to be conscious of the person's health and their condition. And then if you're going to try to help them or the dog, pet, cat, whatever, just really pay attention to, okay, I'm going to put you in the block for a few minutes and, and see how that goes and see how you feel. But then just kind of work with them, follow your intuition on that, but just go low and slow in the beginning with people that are having, and animals that are in chronic illness, or, that sort of thing. The other thing too, that it does does make a difference between whether it's night or day, or morning or evening. One of the things you may not want to do to someone who's sensitive to energy is send them energy at night. So kind of keep in mind too that the time of day, that person might be trying to sleep, and, that sort of thing. So keep in mind that those are the three things from the FAQ that I do want to bring up, and kind of just make sure you guys are aware that when you're using photos and blocks, it's a real thing and you're really doing something, and something's really going to happen. And so you want to kind of be just conscious of these three things. Okay. Now the recommended durations for people, pets, and plants, PPP, that's straight from the tutorial that we recorded, is depending on your block. This is for people, pets, and plants. So if they're brand new, let's say I'm just gonna, most people have an infinity block. They have an older one, but the older infinity block, and also for all other stronger blocks going forward. So for the infinity block, and for the grand block, and the new infinity block, and the boosted infinity block, then the idea here is if somebody is brand new to quantum energy, then just go, like I said, slow and low. So Philip's recommendation was 4 to 6 minutes. You see how it goes. If they're experienced with quantum energy, put them in there for 10 minutes. And then he kind of set a maximum for 10 minutes. And so that's kind of what the recommendation is from Leela. And I just want to say from personal experience, like I have put myself, my dogs, people. I mean, lots and lots and lots of people and pets. And but just for specific to me, I'm very experienced and with quantum energy. I've been exposed to it for a very long time and really high levels. And so I can put myself, like, let's say one of my things that I wanted to do for a while was I wanted to try the weight management frequency to see how that worked. And I put a picture of myself in my block with the frequency, like I made a foil and I put the foil in there with the frequency and a picture of myself in there. And I just ran that experiment for like 2 weeks straight. I left myself in the block 24 hours a day with the frequency to just really kind of, immerse myself in that frequency. And I had I could feel it and stuff, and that was a whole nother story. But anyway, so my point though is that I was in the block for 2 weeks. I've got a dog that's been in my infinity block right now for a month, and I've never taken her out. And I actually did confer with Philip, and Roman took a look at the dog, and it was, I was worried that that might be too much, but it turns out that it's still not enough for that particular animal. But the idea, though, is that, these are the recommendations. You're looking on the screen. The recommendations, is always going to err on the side of caution, because Leela is a company. I'm a person. I don't work for them. So I'm just telling you from my personal experience, there is nothing wrong or nothing's going to happen. Nothing bad has ever happened to me or anyone I've worked with, and I've been doing this for years, with leaving a picture in for a much longer period of time, literally days, weeks, months, if that's kind of like, you want to dedicate a block to that individual. So, that's my experience. However, the recommendation again is as you see on the screen. Now, the other thing, too, about using photos and blocks is using locations. So, we've talked about people, pets, and plants, okay? But what about locations? So now, if you want to send energy to a location, then, I talked with Philip about this as well just recently, just to kind of get some real clarity on that, because during the Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton that just came through, they hit the United States. There's a lot of people in the chat groups that are asking about how do we help these people? How do I, can I send positive energy to any one of those specific towns, or maybe just the whole state of North Carolina, or the whole state of Florida, or even the whole region of the country? And so my response to that was like, if you think about how quantum upgrade works, it's all based on location, but what's the definition of location, right? Well, the definition of location is a single property with an address. Okay, and that's kind of really what it breaks down to. So I asked him, I said, well, could somebody charge a whole city? And the answer was no. His response was, just to kind of paraphrase, was it's just not strong enough to do that big of a space, because all the things that are in that space, all the living creatures, all the buildings, all the, just that much land, and it's not strong enough to make an effect, and it really won't work. So I want to really point that out. But it will work for a property. So if you have a farm, and farms could be big, but it's one single property, it has an address, and you could target. So you could take a picture of, one of the things that I did before there was such a thing as quantum upgrade. I went on Google Maps and got a picture of my condo building when I was living in Hawaii, and I basically put a picture of my condo building in my block to send energy to my home, and of course everybody else that lives in the building. But that was one way to do it. Just go on Google Maps, get a satellite photo of your home or a person's home that you want to send energy to that person's home, and put the picture there, and energy and frequency and intention will then go to that single property. So that's the key thing that, I just want to point out, and Philip did clarify that, putting pictures of cities, regions, countries, states, it just doesn't work. And then the other thing about locations, which is unlike the recommendation for people, pets, and plants, is that there's no max duration when you're trying to send energy to a location. All right. So that's really it in a nutshell on how to use photos in blocks, what the guidelines are, and so forth. So I just want to share that with you. I hope you found this educational. And before I leave you with this, I kind of want to share with you what other people in the Telegram chat groups are doing with photos in blocks, okay? Because one of the greatest things about our chat group is we are a community. We're learning from each other. I mean, some of the best ideas that Leela has actually incorporated into their products and so forth have come from you. And so I want to share this incredible testimony that that popped up in the Quantum Power group, where an individual, one of our members, basically put a picture of his wife's knees in his block. And so basically, this is what he said in the picture. He says, "I put 2 photos of my wife's leg in my new upgraded or upcharged Infinity block. Okay, after 4 years, 5 surgeries, and a little bit of pain, and never more than 2 hours of sleep at a time." Her pain is gone. It's been 5 days now. This is amazing, and this is a testimony. It's unsolicited. It's just someone who got a block and gave it a try, and wow, these are the results. And this is unsolicited. They just posted this photo with this text, and it's just an amazing testimony of how this person was able to help his wife using photos and blocks. And now I've done this too, and I've got some testimonies as well as things that have gone really well. But as I got here right here, I just want to point out results vary by individual and by pet. And so I've worked with tried this with some dogs, and they get better. Their owners report that they're up and running around, or they're just acting better, they're eating or whatever now. And then I've had other reports where like nothing happened at all. So it does really vary by individual, but this is a great story on how one person helped their wife and it did work. And that's just giving you an idea of the possibilities here. And I kind of just also wanted to share, because this is always fun. If you go into the media section of our Telegram chat group, you'll see people doing stuff as all these different videos that I'm making are talking about what people are doing and how to do it. But I just want to show you some pictures that people have posted. And here's one person that was sending a frequency using numerical codes. That's a whole nother subject. I covered that in a video if you're interested in how to do that. But they're just using, they're sending a frequency off of a code number to this lady using their block. Here's a person sending a frequency to a dog. That little piece of foil has got the frequency on it. Another person using their frequency with the dog. Here's the foil with the frequency on it. And here's someone that's sending frequency to a colt. No, not frequency, but energy, just pure energy. Here's an individual with an intention in their infinity block. So they've got the picture of the person, and then they've got of themselves, I think, and then it says, "I am strong, fit, and healthy." And so that's just you're giving yourself, you're manifesting intention for yourself by putting that in there in the block. Someone that's just sending energy, just a picture of a person, a picture of, I think, is a calf or a sheep. Can't tell. And then, of course, this is me treating my dog, and I believe I was using dog booster frequency that I created. It's kind of like a men's booster, but it's for dogs. And so, it's just I was just trying to help them feel better, and I was using my block for that back in the old days. And then here's another one where someone called me up, and a friend of theirs needed some help, and so I'm sending the heal frequency to this lady and trying to help her out. So that's just kind of some examples of what other people are doing that I wanted to share with you. And then, this is kind of a real thing, and you are highly encouraged as a block owner. Give this a try. Let us know. Post in the chat group how it worked out for you, and we all learn together, okay? So anyway, thank you for watching. Hope this was helpful and you learned something. And vielen Dank to our German friends. I hope this was helpful as well for you folks. And if you want to follow Leela Quantum Tech and quantum upgrade information and news, please subscribe to the channel. And always, thank you very much and have a great day. Aloha.